Welcome to Burned and Better. I'm your host, Dr. Denisa Weber, a 7-figure CEO, speaker, mother, entrepreneur, and chiropractor. Over the last 15 years, I've faced the highest highs and the lowest lows of entrepreneurship, motherhood, and leadership. I've burned more times than I can count, but every time I've found a way through and come out better. This isn't about polished highlight reels. It's about the real, unfiltered side of leading, the kind of conversations usually kept behind closed doors. Here, I share my own stories and sit down with leaders who've stumbled, recalibrated, and built something worth leading. So if you've ever felt the weight of success or wonder what it looks like to fall hard but rise stronger, you're in the right place. Let's normalize the messy middle of leadership and step into the episode. Hey guys, welcome to Burned and Better, the kickoff episode for this podcast. I'm excited to embark on so many different conversations that we are going to be having with so many different leaders that have agreed to be on here, which I'm so excited for you guys to listen to. But specifically to hear more of these stories extrapolated. I love podcasts where we get to listen to how to lead well and all those things. Usually there's some story in someone's journey that was highly pivotal. It was highly juicy. It's something that they draw upon and lean on and has left a mark in their leadership. I'll get into more of why Burned and Better in a different episode, but just to give you some clarity that we're not going to be talking about how we got burned, while that would be super juicy. We're going to be talking about how we've burned in our own leadership and how that's made us better. I'm going to kick us off with just kind of painting a picture for you. A couple years ago, I actually lost my entire team. It wasn't just like assistants. It was assistants, a doctor, and a nanny who kind of was a hybrid assistant/nanny. But every single person in my office resigned within like weeks of each other. And the hardest part was it was all my fault. It was our office anniversary, and that's a milestone that should have been worth celebrating. But the only person who marked the occasion was me. I remember taking a selfie of the backdrop in my office and me smiling at the camera and having the realization of I'm the only one that cares. My team had already quit on me. They didn't care about the anniversary. They didn't care about the celebration because they were done. And deep down, I knew why. I wasn't leading. I thought I was, but I wasn't. My leadership, for lack of a better analogy, was completely flaccid. She wasn't stepping up. Excuse after excuse, waiting for someone to step in. I avoided the responsibility that truly was only mine. That day, staring at a forced smile in a photo no one else wanted to take, I had to confront something I didn't want to admit. That was that I was the problem. This was a pivotal time in my life. And while in that time, I subscribed to victimhood, victim mentality, through all the emotions in that, this is all about ownership. Looking back now, of course, these moments you're just so raw and you're in it and just kind of discombobulated. And that was me in that whole instance. And I remember being in that moment, and you would think that I had like a million ads out at the time because I think we got resignations all within that 3-week period. And I didn't. I was in a nice little nook and cranny called denial. And I parked myself there. And I decided to have my own little pity party for one. Everyone's abandoned me and all the things. But also in that denial, I also thought things are going to come through. Things are just going to work out without my action. When I look back at that, I'm like, literally, I didn't want to do it. I didn't want to step into hiring somebody because on the other side of hiring somebody or hiring multiple people in this instance is to be clear about roles and responsibilities, is to be clear about having a benefits package or having payroll set up or having big girl panty stuff, like having a big girl panty business. And I was so used to my like little mom and pop boutique, comfortable smallness, basically. And the way that the business was evolving required me to step into a way different leader. And I was so tired, I didn't want to do that. And when I look back at what kind of evolved to lead me into the place where you get 3 resignations, you're without a team, you're at your anniversary and no one cares. There's what led up into that moment was many opportunities where we had annual planning meeting where I didn't show up and have anything to lead with. I remember having all the pins and the things and the Post-it notes and the this and the calendar out. And I remember we paid for a program that we trained with. They were going to have an annual planning meeting. Well, turned out that I didn't read much into that. I didn't do my due diligence as a leader to see what that actually was about. So I told the team what it was about. And I remember specifically sitting in our kind of like living room space. They came online and they were like not leading us through our marketing calendar. They were not doing that. They were not teaching you how to do that. They were actually having their own planning meeting for expectations for us as being members of their program. A leader would say, that's on me. Let's just go ahead and shut this off and let's do our thing and let's do the work. No, I blamed it. I blamed it on the program that we were in. I blamed it on them. Wish they would have said this. They said it was going to be this. No, I didn't read ahead. I didn't do anything. And so we just kind of let the day go by. There were many opportunities where my team had come to me and was just like, okay, we need to increase fee structure. We need to increase our fees. My team is coming to me about that. It's just funny because the people who know me now are like, you did that? Yeah, I actually really did. There's so many things that I've done in the past, which will unfold as we go along. But I remember them coming to me, and I remember meeting at a coffee shop, got them all coffee, sat there with our fee structure, and they're like, we need to increase our fees. And I was like, yeah. And I'm looking at them, it is so embarrassing looking back at this whole situation. I was like, you know what? I'll do it later. And it's just more of my leadership strategy in this situation was kick the can down the road. Kick the can down the road. We'll be fine. We keep growing anyway. Kick the can down the road. And while I want to give myself grace where I know how tired I was, I know how much less margin I had, I know that it was in the fault, all these different things that I want to give myself, a big, huge and on that is Miss Ego was there in a big way. And Ego was saying, you already know how to do everything. You're fine. And I believe that. I believe people come to me. I've had my ego stroked enough. I've been on stages. People are like, I want to practice like yours. I want to learn from you. I want to da-da-da-da-da. All this kind of stuff. And it just kind of ate it up and believed that. And then just kind of was like, what do you mean? We're amazing. Looking back at it is just ridiculous. And I just didn't think that we needed much. I didn't think we needed to change much. And I will say, I did also know that we needed to change a lot because anything that was highlighted by my team was something that was oh man, I've got to get in there. It's like the closet I never wanted to clean up. I just kept stuffing stuff in there. It was just put that in the closet, we'll get around to it. Put that in the closet, we'll get around to it. I just kept stuffing the closet and never wanting to open the closet and go, okay, can we see what's actually in there and organize this thing? No, I was just I'm too tired. That's too much. I don't want to go into that. I don't want to do any of it. And so because of my refusal to look into whether it's should we look into this system or not? Should we increase these prices or not? And having to deep dive into numbers and all this kind of stuff, I just refused to. That lack of stepping into who I needed to be to lead the people that I had, she didn't show up. I didn't show up. That led into my team going, I resign, and hey, you know what? I resign too. Shoot, I wanted to freaking resign on myself too. I wanted to burn that thing down, walk away and be like, you know what? I'm done. That's how much I fought and resisted this whole situation. And then thankfully I had enough ego that said you're really going to do this? You're really going to walk away from something that you've built or whatever? No, I'm not going to. The fruit of this opportunity that I was so blessed to walk through, which I do see now, but it's more of in the thick of it, guys. I don't know if anyone else has kind of experienced those situations where it's embarrassing. It's straight up embarrassing to go my team doesn't really want to be here. They don't want you as a boss. I wouldn't blame them. It's one of those things where I was embarrassed. I was grieving. How things went before is not what is going to be moving forward. I was grieving a relationship. I was also feeling abandonment, feeling betrayal to some degree, and that kind of showed up later as things unfolded. But we were walking through all kinds of different emotions, and I just remember going, I have to bite this bullet. So the pivot came when I just started getting my hands dirty. My hands getting dirty was getting into every single nook and cranny of my office. We're talking billing systems, billing structure, fee structure, EHR, inventory, merch, swag, getting into our educational materials, our texting system, everything, how everything worked, how we ordered things. It was everything. And from that, I've found major inefficiencies. I found money on the table, or we're talking thousands upon thousands of dollars not billed. I found so many different things, and it's because I allowed it. I allowed toxicity to happen within my practice because I didn't want to have confrontation. I just allowed. I allowed my team to tell me when they wanted to work. I allowed them to tell me what they wanted to do. I allowed them to tell me, oh, I want to learn this thing somewhere, so can you write the check for that? Yeah, sure, will do. If it's going to benefit the practice. There's so many things that I just allowed. That's to no one's blame except for me. It provided this whole situation to where I'm left with no team. Then I end up hiring actually 2 assistants, an associate doctor, and a nanny all within a week and a half. And it forced me to step into We're going to have to give clear hours to these people. It's not just permeable hours. You can't just do whatever, whenever. This is an actual job. What's your roles and responsibilities? What is an employee handbook that needs to come off the shelf that hasn't been dusted off in 4 years? That's probably not applicable anymore. What's the standard of care for our people? But also, what is the standard of our team? And where do I want to set that bar? And I have to show up with that same standard. And that's where, really honestly, when you look at it, when I've looked at myself, they were a reflection of me. What I allowed in my practice was a reflection of me. And so when I lower the bar on myself, it ends up lowering the bar everywhere else. That's what created the sickness that happened inside of our four walls. And literally, it's by God's grace that it sustained itself during that time. We actually ended up growing. We grew that year, believe it or not, over the past year, which based on what we kind of went through, it was kind of a shock. And I would say by His grace, honestly, too, that my heart was open to being humbled. This was a very humbling experience. And through that humility, I was able to ask the right people for help that I probably wouldn't have asked anyway, just out of ego. I've got it. I'm good. No, she doesn't got it. She's not good. She needs to know how to run a multi-doctor system. She needs to know what are some efficiency hacks that are needed for her practice. How can we provide a better patient experience? It opened a whole bunch of conversations that needed to happen. And again, by His grace, we were blessed with some amazing team members that were gracious. They were servant-hearted. They came alongside me and supported me at a time where I was just processing a whole lot of emotion. And I still look back on that and I'm like, thank you. Thank you for that opportunity. Thank you for that pivot. And the time frame of which all this went down was probably a 7-month time period. It took about 2 months of infrastructure, diving in, knowing the system, knowing it well enough to teach it, simplifying, gaining efficiencies, then being able to train. It just allowed me to have training infrastructure, which continually is refined day by day by day. But it offered itself a season of refinement. And when I look back on it now, obviously, yes, rearview mirror is in 2020 is way different than when you're actually in the mess of it all. But man, what a transformative time. And I'm so grateful for it. There's so much to that. And I know that probably there will be more questions on it from people after they hear this experience. And I can elaborate more on just how that transforming time was beneficial, but also maybe there's some nuances that I'm not remembering to share. But what I want to make sure that we are sharing inside Burn to Better is, one, I want people to be encouraged by the fact that maybe this is a screw-up story that you never have to walk. This is something that you're like, dang, Gina, I've never screwed up that much, so I'm encouraged by this story. Or two, you're in the camp of, thank God, I'm not alone in this. I honestly have allowed toxicity to permeate way too long in my practice or in my business or whatever. And my lack of confrontation or my need for comfortability has kept me at bay. Or three, you're in the camp of, I haven't embarked on this yet, or I haven't done that, or you're not needing to go through this. You can stand on the shoulders of people who've screwed up more than you have, and you can use it. You can lean on these stories. I love stories because it's testimony. Testimonies are powerful because it allows people to give themselves permission or maybe be able to see themselves better because of somebody else's experience. And I hope that this is fruitful for you as you listen to this, because we're going to have more conversations like this. And I'm encouraged by people who are willing to share their testimony, where they were, how they changed, and where they are now. So we'll be diving into more of this as we go on in this podcast. But thank you so much for jumping on today for our first embarkment of our first ever podcast within Burned and Better. And I'm excited to share more with you in the next episode. I will see you there. Bye for now. Thanks for tuning in to Burned and Better. Follow the show so you never miss an episode. And if you're feeling generous, tap 5 stars or write us a quick review. That's how this work is going to grow. I'd love to hear what stood out for you in this conversation. Share this episode, tag me at Southern_Cairo on Instagram, and pass it on to someone who needs it today.